What does it really take to build a company that lasts? In this Founder Office Hours session, entrepreneur, investor, and CTO Rishi Sachdev shared hard-earned lessons from building and scaling companies, navigating founder challenges, and making difficult leadership decisions. One of the biggest takeaways: optimism is a founder's greatest asset.
Being pessimistic rarely leads to any successful company. You surround yourself with really optimistic people as well. When you're building your team, you need that type of optimism inside your team as well. So you cannot have people who are more if they've been a part of normal corporate structure, have been part of larger companies, then they need to still be really optimistic about building a startup. Because if they're not, then that will actually poison the entire team.
Rishi explained that while founders must remain relentlessly optimistic, they also need to ground every decision in first principles thinking, constantly improving unit economics and reducing risk. The conversation also explored one of the toughest realities of entrepreneurship: co-founder dynamics. From navigating founder breakups to rebuilding companies from scratch, the discussion highlighted why alignment in motivation and risk appetite matters just as much as technical skills.
My co-founder, my first company, was a little bit less optimistic, and that kind of led us to doing more of the Google program and less of the tutoring program, because the tutoring program was so costly with our own money, right? So we had made a lot of money ourselves from this Google affiliate program, and so we hadn't taken quite as much risk on the tutoring program as we could have. We spent very little capital of our own onto that program, right? And so it's because lack of optimism from a co-founder perspective. If you're going to build a large company, especially a software company, you need to have a co-founder who's very optimistic about not taking a risk and thinking that we can do this, right? And at the same time, you need to be realistic in the sense of the day-to-day. So you need to be very clear that you're going to take the right risks and you're going to try to de-risk the business at the same time, right? So it's important to be optimistic about the potential, but to try to de-risk as much as possible overall, right? So you want to be always de-risking, always trying to figure out how you can de-risk this, but also think about how can we de-risk this at the same time, but also we can do this better, we can make this more price efficient, think about that as well.
Rishi also shared why he made the unexpected decision to step down as CEO and become CTO, recognizing where he could create the greatest impact. That transition allowed him to bring in an experienced CEO with deep industry expertise and build a stronger company.
I spent a lot of time as a CEO, and I've kind of decided that I should move back into technical work because I'm not as effective a CEO as I am a CTO. And so it's kind of interesting. So I can give you some background on TalkTalk. TalkTalk is basically a mental health care company that focuses on people on Medicaid. Medicaid is for the low-income populations in the US, right? So there's 75 million people on Medicaid in the US, and we cover about 1 million lives right now. So about 1% of that population can use us for free.
On fundraising, Rishi offered a refreshing perspective. Rather than raising venture capital too early, he chose to bootstrap the business, focusing first on developing domain expertise, strengthening operations, and maintaining control before scaling. The session wrapped up with practical advice for founders on hiring leadership, scaling in emerging markets, and building resilient businesses that can stand the test of time. Thank you to everyone who joined us, and a special thank you to Rishi Sachdev for sharing such honest, practical, and actionable insights. We'll see you at the next Malaika Commons Founder Office Hours.